Most AI agent demos end with the same sentence. Done. The agent says it fixed the bug. It says the tests passed. It says the work is complete. But if you have ever actually let an AI coding agent touch a real project, you know the real question is not whether it said done. The real question is, what did it do? What did it change? Which tests actually ran? Which policy gates passed? What failed? And can you understand the result tomorrow morning without reading a giant terminal log? That is the problem AO2 is trying to solve. AO2 is a local first agent execution and evidence system. The goal is simple. If an AI agent does work, it should leave proof. Most agent tools optimize for output. AO2 optimizes for evidence. It runs locally. It keeps the MVP local first. It does not require provider API, key authentication paths. It is built around policy checks, exact digest, approvals, replayable evidence, evaluator closure, and release readiness gates. In plain language, AO2 helps answer. What was the objective? What files were involved? What commands ran? What evidence was produced? What did the evaluator reject? What did the evaluator accept? And what can be audited later? Instead of treating an agent run like a chat session, AO2 treats it like a governed local workflow. The first public AO2 workflow is called the risky PR run. It is a deliberately serious example, because real software work is not just write code and hope. The workflow goes through objective, workflow compile, scoped plan, policy, denied risky action, exact digest approval, patch and evidence, reviewer, concern, evaluator rejection, correction, evaluator acceptance, and evidence, export. The important part is that AO2 does not accept looks good as enough. Evidence has to exist before evaluator closure accepts a run. That is the core philosophy. Done is not a vibe. Done is evidence. Pulse is the part of AO2 that can keep advancing local recommended tasks while you are away from the keyboard. That creates a dangerous question. If it runs overnight, how do you know what happened? AO2's answer is local evidence. Even when Pulse does not create a pull request, it still writes records. There is a current run summary, per iteration task summaries, command logs, and auto advance ledger, a generated next task packet, PR, and CI gate state, and direct main publish evidence when that mode is enabled. So no PR mode does not mean invisible mode. It means the evidence is local. First, there is also a practical lesson here. When you build autonomous loops, you have to guard against recursion. In one real AO2 development run, a direct main publisher inherited Pulse automation environment flags during verification. That meant the verification suite could trigger auto advance, which could trigger direct main publishing. Again, the fix was to make publisher verification force recursive Pulse flags off. That is why evidence and gates matter. You do not just need automation. You need automation that can explain itself, fail visibly, and be hardened after real failures. AO2 owns local execution and evidence production. AO2 control plane is different. It is the optional observer. It does not approve AO2 runs. It does not execute providers. It does not own evaluator closure. It receives completed AO2 evidence, verifies signatures and digests, stores them, records, and exposes authenticated RED APIs and dashboards. Today, that makes it useful as a read-only evidence archive and audit viewer. You can use it to answer what evidence was published, who or what signed it, which gates need attention, whether the stored evidence is still digest valid, and whether the archive can be restored later. The next step is where this becomes more useful visually. The control plane should become an AO2 operations cockpit, not a generic Kanban board where humans manually drag cards around. An evidence-backed process board. Every card should come from a real AO2 packet, run summary, gate result, or Pulse iteration. The useful views are a live run timeline, an overnight Pulse report, a gate, attention inbox, a release readiness board, and a process board where every card is backed by evidence that can be opened, verified, and audited. The AI tooling world is moving toward more autonomous agents. That is inevitable. But autonomy without records is just a faster way to create confusion. If an agent works for 1 minute, maybe you can watch it. If an agent works for 6 hours, you need a record. If an agent touches release code, you need gates. If an agent claims something passed, you need evidence. That is what AO2 is about: local first execution, policy gates, evaluator, closure, release readiness, signed evidence, and an optional read-only control plane for inspection. The pitch is not trust the agent. The pitch is trust the evidence. AO2 and AO2 control plane are public now. If you care about local first AI agents, evidence-backed automation, release, readiness, or making autonomous coding less mysterious, check out the repos. Run the local demo. Inspect the evidence. Look at the control plane observer. And if you are building with AI agents, ask one question. When the agent says done, where is the proof?